Greetings and welcome. This is PsychicMediumRoberto, and I truly hope you are doing well. I'm guided by Spirit, and may light and peace prevail over and during the reading. Trigger warning: the subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with true crime events. Disclaimer: all cases are treated as alleged until proven in a court of law. And I've just been re-looking at the numbers for this event. But I was nudged to start recording because the energy I'm feeling at the moment is really... this event was just insane, right? And I had the, let's say, unfortunate experience in seeing some of the footage, raw footage, post-event without the blurs, unfortunately. And I mentioned this, I believe, in the end of last year's podcast. When we have a 35-8 crime scene, that is what we're dealing with here. This is what I mean by that 35-8 crime scene, where first responders don't want to come to this kind of scene. Naturally so. It is completely disturbing. And unfortunately, that's what happens with a vehicle and human bodies, right? And I will include part of the Tesla truck situation in Las Vegas, because effectively it happened not the exact same time. So in the case of New Orleans, we have the red arrow. That is New Orleans. So let me just change the color, because Las Vegas then happens here. Okay, I just don't want to block out those other numbers. And my OCD has got to be right before I continue moment. Alright, so New Orleans, we have the 12-3. Now, okay, let me explain something, beg your pardon. I'm seeing numbers. Just a preamble before we get started. We can all agree there is no December 32 on anyone's calendar on this planet. There's no December 33, 2024 on anyone's planet or on this planet's calendar. I'm extending by 2 days to get an energy read, and I do a 369 to do a deeper energy read. The red arrow is where New Orleans event takes place, 3:30 or 3:15 a.m., 3:15 a.m. The Las Vegas one, I don't know the exact time. I did see footage of that as well. Explosion from across the way. In that zone, we have a 44-8. Now, according to current, and I'm recording this January the 2nd, and it's past noon, before sunset, approaching 3 p.m. The issue here, according to news reports in the case of Las Vegas, the person identified there is either or current or was also military, as far as I understand it. Now, when in the case of New Orleans, we see a 32-5. So this is like let's just say if you have a multiracial grouping and everyone is harmonious, it would be a 23-5. But because there's a racial tinge here as well, 32.5, I'm not saying the perp is because of race issues. I'm just giving you what I'm seeing now. We are going to go deeper. There is a community conflict here, 12.3.33. But it's deeper than that, because I'll just say on surface value, and both are included here because they happened at the same time. We can say happened at the same time, day. Doesn't necessarily apply to each other, but I will make distinctions. My main focus now, let's be clear, is going to be on the New Orleans. We should look at what is happening leading up to this situation. What is going on? What are there? So we're looking for emotional markers. Here's a 40, outcome 4. So we've got a male figure. Now we're looking at this from a behavior according to the narrative. 40, outcome 4. There could be issues around children here as well. And then we've got a 12.3.30, outcome 3. So in one way, there's a community issue. It is, by all accounts, led with feminine energy, 30, outcome 3. So there could be, I heard some reports, and please don't quote me on this, you have to fact check this one, but issues with the ex-wife. There's some kind of court issue between the two of them. So this could even highlight it here. Now the issue, so there's something wrong with the timeline, and there's also something wrong with the current narrative, unfortunately. Interestingly, normally, in most cases, I do not get any information, or very basic, just so I don't get influenced, right? In this case, I've watched mainline information, looking at reactions, energy reads, particularly around the news conference reporting back on the community from an official level, and then just general. I've heard some commentary about people who were there, who watched and heard. And unfortunately, like I said, I saw some of that footage. Not very good. So the general feeling that I got on the first pass, and we'll need to test it again, and we'll test it in this reading. They may have this guy, because we know he's ex-military, right? And by the way, here is military numbers here as well. These are, if we now look with a military optic, here's military here. But this military here is not talking about an individual, by the way. I wanted to just check something's pinging on me. Yeah. Now we're doing an energy read, right? But numbers are so amazing. I don't want to go off track quickly, but just I want a quick note, because it's been pointed out again that if you go beyond a certain number in a month, it doesn't exist, therefore nothing else exists. It's not true. The paradox we're having in this reading is that we, at the end of a year even, December 31, 2024, right? And technically we go into January 2025. It's a complete, if you look at it on face value, it's a complete other kind of reading. But however, Let me just demonstrate here quickly. We would write the actual date of the event as this. Right? That's what it would look like. And yes, I do have a theory saying if I see it here, I should see it here. Now, of course, when we're dealing with numbers as this finite, of course, we're not getting, on face value, I'm not getting the same information, for example, as I would see here. So if there is a community conflict, 3-3 of ideals, and if they say it is ISIS, then on one hand, we can look at it on the first day, 1 + 1 conflict here. So 1 is about ideals. 1 equals ideals. So we now, if there are reports of a pole with a waving ISIS flag, which I didn't see, by the way, I did see the footage of the vehicle on the side, driving along a side road, by the looks of it, busy side road or main artery road, and then sharp turn right, missing the police vehicle, and then we don't see the vehicle anymore. I've seen that footage. I didn't see a flag at the back of his truck. So, of course, the situation is fluid. So, but if we're looking at with that narrative, because it seems to be popping up, but everyone's saying terrorism, 1 + 1 says ideals, conflict of ideals between two people. 11-2, so where is the actual law being broken? Surely, according to the narrative, then this guy's broken the law. So that contradicts then what he's doing from a numerology point of view, because if he's talking about ideals, how can you go kill other people, right? So for me, it can't, not that it can't just be that. If we do an energy read and understand the days leading up, look at the difference in the numbers leading up, just from face value. I just feel we need to clear this up quickly. On face value, there's a lot of information here for me. Yes, it all gets rounded down to a single digit. But compared to reading this versus reading this becomes easier. And then we try to confirm it here, right? But we've also got a year change. So there's it's a paradox in numerology, or whatever you want to call it. That's why on previous readings, when I do an energy read, I'm staying in the flow of energy of that time. And lo and behold, or lo and behold, or whatever it is, the +2 of New Year's Eve, we see a hidden, because this technically now is hidden. We wouldn't normally see this, right? It's hidden. We have a 33-6 sacrificial number in line, if you want to take it at face value, in line with a portal sequence. Who's trying to deliver shit where? Or appease who at when? We're going to go deeper, because he has big operational numbers. +3, in the +3 of the energy read. Now, interestingly, in the energy read, we also see the 3/8 out, 3/8 out, right? But now we're seeing big operational numbers here. 55, 10, 1, 46, 10, 1, 19, 10, 1. Now, when we're dealing with numbers like 5, and we get to this level of 55, 5 speaks about politics, politicians, and 46, 10, 1, quickly, because I want to share something else before we go on. 46, 10, 1, there's the mass sacrifice. Mass human sacrifice. So, of course, this takes place in the real, because we've seen footage. Now, before we continue, this is part of, I don't know if it's part of, but I have been preparing the inauguration sequence of events. Here it is here. Because now the inauguration is January 20, right? So I was busy preparing that. Here's the 60th inaugural. Now, you'll recall in previous Trump episodes of his assassination attempts, we looked at Ronald Reagan. In Ronald Reagan's +3, which is the same, would be in the same position as the +3 of the New Orleans event, we see a 55-10-1. What's going on here, ladies and gentlemen? I'll tell you why the narrative is wrong according to this chart here. But isn't it interesting that when an assassination attempt or some kind of operation is in play, because don't forget, here's 19-10-1, that's operation in play. What operation is in play? Military. There's military background influence here. Yes, the narrative for both him and the Tesla vehicle, Cybertruck, rentals, both have backgrounds of military. Now, if it was just the case that it's him in his individual capacity, or even as a group, because now the narrative is group, but there's also an individual narrative for him. And in my opinion, his individual narrative ends here. The night before, or let's say, beg your pardon, the day before, or let's be clear, 12 hours before the event. Here's even a 31-4. Whose corpse? Whose corpse? So what is going on here? There's a hidden 44-8. Now, in my opinion, let me check something here. You see, before I make the next comment, I had to verify something. Because if they're saying it's ISIS or related or of, I'm now checking, is it the case or is it a local person? Like local, yes, we know he's American, but there should be some other influence as well. So 14-5 on one hand can speak about foreigner, if there's a group or foreign group. But I'm not buying that because there's certainly one giveaway, for me anyway. 15-6 says to me local. I may have mentioned this in the podcast. And the 15-6 can speak about those pipe bombs, whether they're real or not. 15-6, remember I spoke about those pressure cooker bombs. But the 15-6, it's local ragtaggers, but of course in this case ex-military. Okay? Or they're using the information as ex-military, this person did it. Because this person feels to me, I don't know, something happens here for him, which is 12 hours before the event. If you look at the vehicle, This is not a good representation of it. But if you look at, there's a video where he's driving along a fairly busy road, and he makes that sharp turn down the road where he eventually comes to an end. Those windows are super black tinted. Something's off. So this is the paradox in this timeline for me, and that is the energy for him ends here. That's the issue for me. So how does he then get in a car and drive and whatever? A very bad event. The operation played out, 44-8. And all of the numbers here, and it goes without saying, but I'll show you. The numbers around this event are horrible. I spoke about the 35 eights. Eights, all the eights, that is very bad, all the eights. Because unfortunately, even though you were injured in this event, the people that were injured in this event, and peace and light and blessings to the families and people affected, that even if they were injured, it could affect them for the rest of their life, because it affects the biology of the body, the eight body biology. And it's not, that's a, I don't know what so in kilometers, if you're driving 60 kilometers and you come to a dead stop because of a wall or a pole, that already, 60 kilometers is already 1 ton. And by all accounts, he was driving quite fast, unfortunately. The universe is shouting murder of innocence, of course. There is the 7 as the outcome now, because the event happens right at the start of this day, right? So the outcome is a 7, murder of innocence, to appease a 33-6 mass event portal sequence. 9 with a stack of 8s, portal sequence. Hidden, by the way. We've got to be careful of putting things in constructs or squares, even like these drawings, squares or boundaries. It's done this way because it's been done this way for 100 years. Why would they want you to think like that? So here we have in the +3, 46, 10, 1. We see a lot of this. We saw it around Whitney. Was it Mariah recently? Everyone in for a pound, in for a penny. And by the way, 55, 10, 1 on, let's just say on a good day, is about big money. In the +6 years, where let's call it a second confirmation, there's a problem here, right? Because it's a 38, 11, 2. And the 38, 11, 2 is about a collective knowledge. Collective knowledge. So now let's go to the narrative. The narrative is him and whoever else were involved in this operation. Unfortunately, it's a lie, because 14.5, there is a group, but hidden. So let me go back one step. 14.5 would be referred to as him and accomplices doing something. Okay, yes. But now we've got hidden. Hidden 50 outcome 5. When you've got a 50 outcome 5 in play, and this is not made up, because here's 50 outcome 5 here. 48 hours or at least 36 hours before the event, the 50 outcome 5 is visible. In other words, why is this 50 outcome 5 here? This 50 outcome 5 we see in organized crime elements. Linked to politicians. I did another test. We'll come back to this, I beg your pardon, to the 13 fours, but I want to draw your attention to December 30. When we do a +9 on December the 30, we get a 39. 39, 12, 3. Ring a bell, anyone? 39, 12, 3. Monarch. These numbers here, 58, 13, 4, 49, 13, 4, till the 4, monarch. Let's leave it for that for now. I'm not revealing information. I wanted to give more examples, but I'm told that's enough examples. It's just so we're transparent. I'm sharing what's happening as I go, because the backstory here, to be honest, let me share that with you. I saw these numbers, and yes, I questioned them, but they reminded me of, and I recently spoke about this with Chelsea Grimm. And when you're talking about organizations and institutions like Disney, these are Disney numbers here. 58, 13, 4, 49, 30. That's all part of the Disney. We had a look at one or two of the films as well on previous episodes. If I get the thumbnail, I'll pop it here. So we've got ritualistic behavior, 33.6, with monarch programming involved with Disney, major Disney influences, or let's say numbers we would see in Disney and MK Ultra, MK programming, sacrifices going on here, which definitely have military operational elements. Hidden December 30, 33.6. So this is from the perspective of New Orleans, right? I'm gonna leave the Cybertruck reading for a bit later if it comes through. Because, like, let me give you, so here's an example of time and when things happen, right? So we know like we say, the truck event happens here, or the New Orleans here, right? So now, because of the Cybertruck happening in this zone, so therefore then we start here, right? Which means then, if I continue the line, then I must include these numbers here, and not these numbers here. Does that make sense? So when I look at the event, so if I'm looking at Las Vegas, and I'm looking here. This 17.8 plus 8 then tells me a different story. Was there something wrong with that guy? Was there something wrong with that guy? Because this shows mental instability here. You see the difference? So if I start when I started the reading with, this is for the enthusiasts, if you're still watching, thank you. If we take New Orleans, but the reading for New Orleans starts in this row, and we have a 12-3, 32-5, which both numbers talk about community. So there's community conflict. Here's a community conflict. You see the difference? So when I start here, immediately the conflict we see is a 17.8.8. This, the Tesla situation, and this, that's why I haven't meditated on that aspect enough, but to me, I'm getting a different read from this. I don't think they related or linked at all. This, the guy outside in his truck by himself, has got his own mental issues. So like I mentioned, I've been working on the inauguration sequence. It's in planning. We will look at it a bit later, closer to the time. I want to make sure I get the right read. But present thoughts to the families and people affected here, but something's not right here, ladies and gentlemen. Something's not right here in New Orleans, and why they would pick that event. But we've got, this is why I was battling to read this properly as well over the past 24 hours. Because, you know, and it glimpsed me when when you signed off last year, hey, this is my last show, and I put my last episode away, and then I realized, like, who's covering the last few days? Do you know what I mean? As psychic spiritual workers, right? Because you all go on holiday, and I glimpsed something, but I didn't pursue it. But the numbers that I'm seeing here, and I will disclose, I heard a comment somewhere online about this issue around portal sequences and sacrificial moments during this New Year's Eve, potentially, or it was, right? And yes, in the +1 and +2 of the event, we've got a hidden sacrificial portal here. And in the +6, we see all of these 58, 34. Now, technically, this is what I said to myself before I've made the connection during this read now. 13.4 is about children. These are all Disney numbers. '50 outcome 5. If we really want to flip the optics now, we're going deep and dark and nasty, right? 50 outcome 5 are the politicians and whoever these penguin people are, the masonry people, all the satanic cults and whatever you want to call it, have their little debauched, filthy parties in sewers of humanity. 50 outcome 5. Yeah. Taylor Swift's famous line, "Ooh, it washed over me." I'm sure it did, honey. So in the +9 of the New Orleans event, 41.5. This is, we must actually be careful about calling things terrorist. And I've also cautioned myself. But this 41.5 is the opposite, obviously, of 14.5, which is about foreign exchange, foreign travel, So 41.5, by saying, hey, this must be terrorists, is kind of poking the bear. It's like the Bushes, George W. Bush back in the day. Hey, there must be weapons of mass destruction. So we are going to attack Iraq anyway. And if we don't find any, well, at least we killed a dictator, right? This is what 41.5 is talking about. And when you have a 53.8 here, we're talking mass casualty event. These sevens are bothering me. These sevens are bothering me. So we've got multi-groups here. Here's it confirmed here. 38, 11, 2, all in for a pound, in for a bit of flesh. We got operational numbers, politicians. We got the people, the child pedo motherfuckers, 14.5 pedo. And then here's some other grouping. Lizard people, 17.8. 17.8 lizard people. So everyone's dealing here. Dealing in humans, 53.8. So 16.7. So there, okay. If we stay on the Whitney and the Mariah Carey optic, 16.7 is the sacrifice. 61.7 human sacrifice. These here 52 sevens, one could say appeasing the gods, whoever the gods are. Check your toilets, people. There's people in the sewers and they call them gods. Alright, so unfortunately, let me deal with why I believe there's something also wrong with him. So if I do a read, let's say, even if I start here, so let's say there's military issues with him. I don't know too much. I know he's ex-military. I don't know the full details, right? I'll always tell you as much as I know. Now, so was he dishonorably discharged with the 49.13.4? Was there a grudge against the army? Because when you get to 2020... when you get to 22.4, is there a money number around? I wonder if he had money issues around this. 5, 8. No, it was never about money. But there's a conflict with the army here. 22.4. See, 22.4, I keep getting the notion of evidence. Was there a case against him in the past? Because there's even a 29.11.2. Something's odd here, now that I'm looking at it again. And if you bring in the element of, unless it's a red herring, that there's this criminal court case issue with him and his ex-wife. I've heard it from other reporters. I haven't seen any official documentation on it. So if we stay on a human basic level, Yeri is here, and here's the conflict with the wife even, or the community. But you see, then we get a 50 outcome 5. Something doesn't make sense here. Something happens here to him. Yeah. What I was going to say about the energy around this time and almost taking focus off this area is it's very cloaked. There's very dark energy around this event. So we see him here. If he's the 15.6, Harry go casual, there's issues here, but by sunrise the next morning, there's a death here already, 31.4. Or on the one hand, you see, it also doesn't make sense. On the one hand, 31.4, see, something's off here. 31.4 is like taking the divorce papers or even the court papers and tearing them up in your face, right? It's like 31-4, you're going against the truth or the evidence. But you see, here's a staging, 43-7, here's a staging here of like a suicide even. Something's odd here. Here's very operational dark motherfuckers around here. This December 31, I'm seeing a lot of, and I'm staying within his energy flow. Yeah, 42-6 is like divorce from the family. But the 51-6 is like the body is dead. You know, the body is broken. The body is broken. So that's weird to me. And then he still, according to narrative, drives in his very tinted out pickup truck here. And he gets shot and taken out, and there's 2 other officers shot, right? I hope they get well soon. So something's off here, ladies and gentlemen. Something is not quite right here for me. And you know, I questioned why I was watching so much information instead of, I questioned Spirit and myself, why was I watching so much of the event versus looking at the chart quickly? But once I started putting out the chart, you know, I did it the reverse in this case. And there's holes in the narrative. And of course, maybe the investigation needs to dig deeper. But when I switch optics and you see government, big money, human sacrifice, Disney numbers, we've got Monarch programming, traces numbers in the background. We've got hidden sacrificial portals here as well. Then we've got problems here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll watch how this unfolds, but I'm not liking, something doesn't add up, something's not making sense. All right, see you in the next one. Bye for now.